Hey, Mita. Let's see. I'll make sure. Oh, yeah. I think. Can you hear me? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay,
Hi.
good. Hey, I saw your message. We need to get on it. I'll work on it some. And run something by you. So
Okay, I'm sorry. I did mean to start early this week and then things just got away from me.
yeah, I know. That's kind of how this week's gone for me too. So oh well. Yeah, I need to. In fact, I need to leave promptly today. Um, I gotta go. I have an appointment, so gotta get there in time. Get my engine worked on.
You got to fly there in time?
Yeah, well, so I had that engine worked on my plane, and the guy fixed. I think the turbocharger wastegate wasn't quite closing correctly, and what that does is that allows the turbocharger to maintain a consistent pressure in the engine, airflow pressure. But there was a leak in it too, and he fixed that. And so he fixed it so well that I get way more pressure than I'm supposed to now, and I'm using more gas than I'm supposed to use, more fuel gas per hour, and
Okay.
you can drown your engine. So I can handle it. I caught it immediately, and I pull the fuel flow back and adjust for that. But it's not good for me to have to remember to do that. So I'm just going to go to the mechanic, and he's going to fix it real quick. But, I got to go fly there, so it's always something. Weird problems. Yeah, I have some pretty weird problems these days. So thanks for joining. Yogesh, thank you. I saw you working on the document some. I was working on it too. We're getting super close. Um, and Charlie sent me some warm reset definitions to contribute to the doc. Um, I need to go back over those. It just this week kind of got away from me. So I think like there are a few sections that we've updated, and I think there's a lot of work on the glossary. A lot. I think I don't know. Maybe we can undo some of the changes to make it faster, but we'll get there. Um, so Yogesh, we haven't heard you yet, but are there any other opens that we need to deal with?
I was just listening to your interesting rich man issues conversation. So I see there's some new members joined us today. So welcome, Senthil. I don't recall if I saw you here before. If you feel like, please introduce yourselves to the group.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you. So my name is Senthil. I work for ARM as a principal engineer, principal architect, in fact. So I got introduced to this group and the overall ROS concepts and everything recently. So you may see me more of attending these meetings moving forward. Yeah, thank you.
Great. Okay. Yogesh,
are you on West Coast?
No, I'm in Austin.
I'm also in Central Time Zone. I was just going to warn you, friendly warning. This group is very addictive. It might have some impact on your Friday evening social life. Very welcome.
yeah, we're really glad to have you. Yeah, we have a few Central and East Coast folks. Thank you. We know it's hard, so thank you for coming.
Thank you. Yep.
So Yogesh, should you want me to share the doc, or you want to do it?
I just want to ask folks if there are any other opens. Anything else that we need to?
We might just want to talk about the PCIe thing, Yogesh, that you and I chatted about.
Sure. Why don't you take it up, Vilas? And after that, I have one more to follow up on. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it was last week we were talking here and asked if it was worth revisiting any of the PCIe work that we had sort of contemplated doing without and if we could do that in a way that didn't kind of violate the consortium rules. So Yogesh and I both took a look at the spreadsheet that we had and kind of where that got left. I think the basic conclusion I took away is that we'd already spawned 1 or 2 ECNs, one to the PCI firmware spec about split OS firmware handling of PCIe errors, and a second to the PCIe base spec about root port handling of the air core signaling. Beyond that, it wasn't obvious that there was anything that we could do as a group here. And there wasn't even more stuff to really be kind of kicked off. So my basic conclusion on that was, I think, leave that aside. I would say if, lots of the members of this group are also work at companies that are members of the PCI consortium. So if something comes up, it's fair game to sort of bring it up in an oblique way, and then we can go, potentially go off and just use it as a place to say, hey, we're thinking about this thing, might be interesting to folks, and we can go off and, under PCIe NDAs and so on, talk about them.
So the only thing I kind of question a little bit of that, Vilas, because I thought there were some things that that Erwin was talking about where some of the error responses seemed inconsistent. I don't know. Maybe I need to just go look at the spreadsheet, but I thought there were a couple of other things that we wanted to ensure, and that I haven't seen happen yet.
Yeah, I mean, please go take a look, right? I think I'm not saying that there's not stuff to be done. I am saying that I don't know that we can do it here, right? So I would say,
agreed.
Yeah.
I guess what I was thinking we should do here is just look at the things and try to prioritize them and make sure that someone's working on it, and the high priority things. That's it. And then you'd go use the PCIe SIG processes to drive the prioritized changes.
Yeah. Why don't you take a look, Drew, and then if you have a couple of high priority things from there,
Okay.
bring them up, and then we can chat about them briefly, and then maybe spawn off. Someone can go. Some PCIe members can go off and look at it.
That sounds good. And was that one that you mentioned, the completion one? Is that related to clean DPC? Because I think at least my priority is look at DPC and make sure that the industry as a whole is to the point where DPC can be normalized. That it's an expected normal thing, and that we generally handle it correctly with most devices in data centers.
Yeah. It plays into that, but it wasn't fundamentally that. But yeah, it does play into that a little bit. I would say I think you've worked on a bunch of DPC implementations and places where things are kind of inconsistent. So I would just say take a look and see where you think the high priority things are, right?
Okay, then we can just if I see something we need to discuss here, I'll raise it as an item. That's fine. Okay.
Yeah. And just to be clear, I mean, personally, right, I'm more than happy to go work on PCIe things. We just sort of are limited in what we can do here. That's all.
Yeah, and I think where it sounds like historically you and I think have been aligned on, the value of getting DPC, defined and the kinks worked out so that we can normalize that, right? I mean, I don't think that's controversial, right?
Nope, not at all. Yeah, at least not to me. So yeah.
Okay. So I'll take a look along those lines. That's what I care about. Yeah, I'm telling you what my priority is right off the bat.
Yeah.
You have to think about it very long.
Yeah, take a look. There was some notes in there, but like I said, it was just take a look, and if you see something that sticks out, let us know.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, and that's basically a generic announcement, right? If anyone feels, and I'll share the link to that spreadsheet again. In fact, I'll share it via email also. Anyone feels like there is something that folks think needs to be improved in PCIe, but since we are restricted by, PCIe's license agreement, and their restrictions limit us from what we can do in this forum, feel free to just bring it out here and seek collaborators like Vilas just mentioned, and then it's totally fair for PCI SIG members to work on those things.
Well, I think the mental model is we can plan things here, but the actual work, any detailed work would have to happen using SIG practices. So, we can figure out what we want to do, and then someone else has to go do it somewhere else.
We make references back to, in the document, for example, if we referred to like AER or other things.
Well, absolutely. There was never any objection to references to PCI. In fact, they encourage it. They strongly encourage it.
Okay, good. Thanks.
Yeah. And because if you refer back to the spec, then you're referring back to their property in an appropriate way. And when you read the spec, it is reflected as being property of the SIG. So we were encouraged to you want to talk about the spec, refer to a section.
Gotcha.
Cool. Okay. So you had another open, Yogesh?
I already emailed you about it. Why don't you open the doc and share it? Maybe we should discuss offline a little bit and then come to it. Okay.
Okay. Sounds good. Let me pull it up. Okay. I'm going to start at the beginning because we're getting there, and I think we can race through some stuff. Even I know the work is at the end, but Yogesh, I noticed there are now 2 table of contents. Was that intentional?
Yeah, I was. Yeah, we had to delete one of those. I think what happened was, this one also got updated. All the page numbers are gone, and it had lots of those figures and all that. And I was trying to fix some of that. So remove one
I
of
got
those.
rid of the figures. The figures were gone.
Yeah, I know. But I think somehow I thought, remove one of those. That's a short answer. Remove one of whichever one you like. Remove the other one.
I would. Well, they're both kind of a little weird.
I don't know how this got this formatting. This formatting looks actually better than hyperlinks. I mean, both are okay to me.
Well,
That's fine.
I'll
Whichever
work
one
on
you like.
it. Okay. I didn't know what you were doing, but like this is the formatting that matches the template or whatever we were given. So I don't really care. I'll look at it and see what I can figure out. And then I don't know where these bullets came from. This is new, so I'll try.
Yeah, the numbering was kind of inconsistent, so I changed some of the sub numbers to bullets because it was kind of either we do like it's kind of odd to have 4 and then 1 again and then 4, and there's some mixing up. So maybe you need to work some more on that minor issue.
Okay.
It's formatting issue.
Yeah, and in general, it's a weird practice to bullet a header style in a doc because then the bullet shows up, here.
So so we need to have proper, numbering levels, because the numbering levels were odd. Header 1 and header 2 have same kind of numbers. So you have 1, 2, and then again 1. So that will also
because they don't actually technically have numbers. It's just not supported.
It's minor formatting. We can take it offline. Let's go to the content. Yeah.
Okay. And I just went through all the data, the figures, and went back to normal text so that it didn't show up as a heading 3 in the table of contents. Then and there were a few things that you had suggested, Dean, like some commas, and it was mainly like grammar, and I blindly accept those. If it looks right, I'll do it because we just need to move on. And your changes were not controversial. I think just the grammar cleanup's great. So thank you, Dean. In case you're wondering where it went, I just accepted them. But in for terms of this, I'm inclined to accept. Let's see. this kind of
I
change.
don't even know what I did there.
That's the
Format list style. I don't know what was it.
So adding DUE here,
Yeah, I
is-
don't know about that one.
the DUE it overlaps multiple, and that's fine, but it's just weird. Also known as DUE, I don't think it's really also known as, because like if you say fatal recoverable, also known as DUE, you're
Oh,
applying a symmetric relationship that DUE is also known as. You know what I'm saying? It's a symmetric, a transitive relationship, and it's not a transitive relationship. DUE is a superset. And so we could say part of DUE, or something like that, but I don't think AKA is quite correct. You see what I'm saying?
yeah, I also didn't like that, but I did not reject it. I wanted to hear let others also chime in.
And see, my concern here is that fatal is also known as DUE, and non-fatal non-recoverable is also known as, and that's not right. The DUE AKA implies transitive. You know, it works either way, and it doesn't here. So, you know, we could say part of or something like that. Or
all the ones you're pointing out are uncorrected, non-fatal, non-recoverable, uncorrected, fatal. I mean, they're all uncorrected. If you want to point that out, that's the way to do it. I'm not sure why you need to, but if it's unclear, see how the first one is corrected, the next one is uncorrected, and it's also non-fatal recoverable. So you're going an increasing level of detail. So yeah, I agree. It's not AKA, it's uncorrected,
Maybe I
non-fatal
should just
recoverable.
say, why don't I do this? I'll reject it and say uncorrected, like that, and that's more complete, right? I mean, I like what you said, Dean.
Is it really necessary? I mean, we already, okay, so we have corrected, and then whatever is not corrected, we are saying uncorrected there, which is not incorrect, but is it? I mean, we debated this table to death like so many
Yeah.
months.
So guys, wasn't that you who put in the AKDUE?
No, that was Anil.
Oh no, I
Oh,
would
Anil.
not do that.
No, I agree it's not necessary. I thought to
Okay.
to
No,
appease Yogesh.
Okay, I think then I'll reject it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was thinking if Anil really feels strongly about it, we could probably have a comments column. There we can have a little bit better explanation of in what cases it and how it could be a DOE or not.
You could say all of these things. DUE covers all these things in a Venn diagram.
Yeah, that one liner at the somewhere will take care of. Yeah.
Yeah, we could have a Venn diagram if you really wants it to show how they map. I don't care. And I think, Mita, I added a paragraph because you were saying that, you know, there shouldn't be any kernel panic, but this is a hardware error severity, not a kernel error severity. So a non-fatal recoverable may not be recoverable if the OS is missing something it needed. So the hardware says it's theoretically recoverable, and the OS goes, nope, I needed that data. I'm not recovering, right?
Yeah, that I'm good with that. I think it was a while back, and yeah.
Okay, yeah, we've had a lot of discussions since then, you and I. So, okay, I'm going to accept this then. Okay. And then you can just see I made this normal text, and I thought I had it centered, so I'll leave it centered.
So totally blame me for some of those formatting thrown off. I'll fix some. I think I did some crazy things this afternoon. I have to fix those.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, okay. I think I already fixed it, but, oh, you fixed it. Okay. Okay, and then normal text, and we'll fix that. Okay. Oh, now, what I had was this yellow highlighted saying, and this is something Anil asked for, and it actually makes sense because I've noticed that with firmware first, people tend to think OS never, and that was never the intent of firmware first. So if we can head off a little bit of the confusion by explaining they're not mutually exclusive, then that's reasonable to me. I had this as a header. I thought I'd clean this up. Oh yeah, it shouldn't have a period because it's a header. Okay, and um, and so you can see, and then these are some other notes that was saying important to clarify, blah, blah, blah. So I tried to do that. So I'm just going to leave this here, and I welcome whatever feedback. I just tried to show they have to work together sometimes.
So do you want folks to take a look at it, come back to it next time to
Well,
move for?
can you glance over it? If it's not controversial, I just as soon hit check and be done.
All right.
I'm sorry, what are we checking?
Just that you're okay with it.
No, which part? The whole thing between the two green bars?
Yeah.
So I haven't read it, probably not going to. It seems like a lot of words to say first means first. And you're talking about in-band and out-of-band. That seems to confuse the situation. Firmware first means the firmware
Oh,
gets
no, 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 no.
control and then can pass it on to the.
This is not about firmware first. I'm saying that firmware first was unnecessarily confused, and we don't want to repeat that unnecessary confusion with in-band and out-of-band.
Oh, I see. Sorry, that's the part I heard. Okay.
Yeah.
So Drew, I think it may be. I mean, there are things. So, for example, your PCIe DPC example is good, but I think maybe to highlight more of the importance of OS here, you can talk about recovery requires OS involvement.
Well, I think I mentioned that, right? That's the
second para, last line, you're saying it needs to react to the link going down. The
yeah, but
PCI
also
DPC.
OS needs to interrupt software that's attempting to consume poison.
That's actually not correct.
No,
Hardware does that.
Well, okay. Needs
So
about decide how to respond when software attempts to consume poison.
Andrew, my comment was not about that part. It was about PCIe DPC.
Yeah, right here. Next sentence.
Yeah, so it's not incorrect, but I think to highlight the importance of OS even in this scenario where you're saying our band is primary, handler, you need OS is required for recovery of that link.
Well, okay. I can say that are required to react. I mean, this also need, but I mean, they're pretty similar, I think.
What you're missing, the keyword you're missing is recovery. Recovery is not possible without the OS involvement. Okay, so you're saying react to the look. Yeah, you can improve that.
Or how about are required to, I see, I got recover from the link going down.
It's not from the link going down, it's recover the link that has already gone down. Yeah, I think it's nuanced minor thing. Yeah, just so you don't imply that hardware is trying to bring it down, but OS is saying no, you cannot bring it down. It's not that.
So like that.
Yep, looks good.
Got it. Thanks for clarifying. .
Is this the first time you use the term DRAM in this doc?
Maybe. I guess I didn't worry about it too much, but because people generally know what it is, but I can spell it out if you want.
Just an observation. It's up to you.
I mean,
Or you can just say DDR DRAM, and that would probably put enough context there.
okay. Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming people know what PCIe is and DRAM, yeah, DDR, yeah. But I try to spell out the other stuff.
Are you talking about predictive offlining there in that sentence?
Maybe. Well, so imagine, I mean, if the memory analyzer goes, yeah, this row is failing, but it hadn't failed completely yet, they might be able to do that. They might be able to say, oh, main word line is failing. I'm just going to go tell them to map out some extra pages because I see some, I can't do PPR for whatever reason, so I'll just tell them to map out some pages.
Okay.
But I'm not even trying to be too precise. I have an example in mind, but I'm just saying, hey, the DRAM vendors might be really smart and might be able to recognize a failure mode and say map out pages before we even touch the page. But that isn't really important. The key is it just might be possible for an out of band thing to map out a page.
Yeah, and then actually the CXL spec speaks about that. There's a page offlining feature in the RAS features, and yes, and the host is so it device will convey to the host, and then the host offlines the pages.
Yeah, and this is consistent with that. I think I'm imagining the RAS API and the CPADs are the framework for that, and CXL doesn't know that yet. But it doesn't really matter. The point is that out of band action or an out of band analyzer might want to do something with the OS, so it may pass things to the OS, and so the two complement each other. That's really the key of this section is that even if you're doing things out of band, you might want some in-band actions. If you're doing things in band, you still need out of band help too, like the next paragraph. So anyway, is this okay for me to accept then? I'm going to delete the highlight.
Looks good to me.
Okay, then we're done with that. Okay, and this is normal text, centered, normal text, and still centered. Okay. And centered. Okay. Centered. Gosh. Okay, I'm sorry. I thought I'd centered these.
Yeah, Drew, that's me. I selected all justified, so everything got thrown off. That's me. Sorry about that.
Okay. Well, this one's still centered, but okay. Then okay, you're working on this for next week. And
Yeah, I think so. One thing I think as I worked through that, I think the RAS API some ordering needs to change, and also I was thinking maybe we need two versions, one for in band and one for out of band. That would make it much easier to follow than talking about both in one diagram. So that's the proposal. I'm not done. I'm not done with it yet.
okay, sounds yeah. No, I think you're right. I think that makes sense. That one out. It'll get too complicated if you try to do them both. on one drawing. Okay, and this is where I think I'll work with you on the bullets. We need to figure that out. I don't think bullets and heading was great. And we may be able to get it to increment 4.1, 4.2. I'll look. There may be a way that we can get it to help us. Otherwise, maybe we just put the number by hand. As much as I hate that. Oh, wow, this is really looking good. So we got all the way here. So that one section is what's left, and then this is really weird. I'm going to make this left justified so it doesn't do that. Good. We got, I mean, like Yogesh, with the exception of your section now, the body of this is looking pretty good. So thank you. This is great. Okay. So let's look at advanced AR. I mean, I read this earlier. It looks fine to me. I don't have any concern, but I welcome feedback with Sukei's definition there.
Yeah, I just made sure to be explicit about referring back to that spec, like I said earlier.
Yeah, and that's fine. They're not gonna. We're not, as long as we're not trying to. They were worried that we were redefining things, and we clearly aren't. We're just saying we're using AER, and that's good. They want us to use their spec. There's nothing wrong with that.
Are we gonna keep that asterisk next to PCI Express?
I don't know why we would.
Yeah, it was everywhere in the doc, so I just thought to follow that, but I don't know.
That's fine. Anil added it, and that's fine because what I did was if you switch to the page mode, every page had that thing. The other, take a look. The comment that Meta's legal asked to add, and that's why Anil added those asterisks. It's not a
Oh,
big
yeah,
deal.
I see it on everyone. Sorry, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's actually if it was a proper footnote, it would show up though.
No, it's not. It's in the he
No,
switched to
yeah.
it's in the footer. Yeah.
But
So
see, this is a proper.
I know what is a footnote, but I think just added it to.
Asterisk is not a proper footnote the way he's done it. So we need to do something.
That's fine, Drew. I think it's okay. If you switch to page mode, you'll see in the footer, you'll see there is a comment and that covers it. So
Where
that's fine.
he did it, he put it in by hand.
And yeah, so he wanted PCIe covered on every page, and since we are not putting that thing a footnote on every time, because that would be like by the time we're done, we'll have 55 footnotes. I didn't want to do that. So what I did was, yeah, just double click and switch the mode. Double click on the line.
Yeah, I'm trying. It's for some reason not picking.
You can go to view maybe.
Yeah,
Go to show print layout.
where? Oh, sure. Okay.
You see that? Under CC, there is the asterisk and other names of brands are, so it's fine. It doesn't hurt to be overly cautious about that.
Okay.
And it's in the footnote. It's in the footer. Doesn't take any space or complicate things, so that's fine.
Okay. The problem with this is now these comments aren't aligned anymore. Okay, so the next comment got me pretty fired up. I really strongly don't like it. I have defined fault management as software logging, analyzing errors, and determining how to minimize impact. That's literally the definition. And if you look at this whole framework, these are not error handling requirements; they're fault management requirements. And in my mind, and also in the mind of the IFAC control org, fault management consists of all of those things. So I just like to, I need to go through this, but I think fault management is the thing that we're talking about. And it includes modeling, it includes like modeling failures so that you can build analysis tools. It includes RAS actions, it includes service actions. You know, and it's kind of weird to me to call error handling a superset of fault management. Error handling is, you know, what software does in the immediate face of errors, where it doesn't include analysis necessarily. So I'm willing to go work on this, but I'm you know pretty strongly opposed to the definition change that that was made here.
I
What was
agree with
in
you,
here?
Drew.
I agree with what you said. Yeah, I agree with what you said. What was in here before, Drew? I just maybe I'm missing the.
This Anil added. I think Anil added the error handling.
Oh, got it. Yeah. No, okay. I'm 100% in agreement.
So I'll go take a stab at cleaning it up for next week if you all don't mind for error log, and I won't get it quite right, and we'll debate it, but I can get it closer than this. So and so we can work on that, but I think there was some confusion there, and Dean, you mentioned this too. I'm gonna highlight your comment. Let's see. Oh, and there are two error reportings, or are there? Oh, error handling and error reporting. Okay. So
Can we discuss and agree on those three now? Because I think they all
yeah,
need
I think we do. I
to
mean,
be dealt together. I don't. Yeah.
well, let's. Okay. So I think error handling is, you know, error handling is what software does to respond to an error in my mind. And what I mean is, you know, if you have downstream port containment, then you go through a sequence. If you get an interrupt saying I've had a fatal error, you log it and go down. Or if you consume poison, you figure out if you can recover or not. But there's no analysis there. And the OS can't typically do that because, you know, like some of the DRAM vendors they're going to say, hey, I can even do an analysis that means one thing on one direv and another thing on another direv. And direvs and sightings and, you know, the details that we want to put in these analyzers are never going to fit into the kernel itself. Now, they may run in the kernel in the form of a separate piece of code called an analyzer, but but my argument is fault error handling is what we already do today in software, and we're extending error handling with a fault management solution that allows us to gather error logs, analyze them, and automate actions for them. So, are you all aligned with what I'm thinking there?
I am. I usually say it as error handling is the effect on the operation of the system. Fault management, fault handling and fault management is the diagnostic work you do to understand the cause and mitigate or remediate it. So
Yeah,
error handling is operational.
it does to respond to an error to. Okay, but how do I put that? I agree with you, Dean. I don't think I can write that quite as the definition. So can you try? I'm not pushing back at all, but can you try again and let's see if we can get something here. Like let's say that again.
So I say it as error handling is the operational result on a running system.
Can we say operational actions or something? Because
Operational actions, sure, that sounds good.
it's not really a result, right? Operational actions, software takes, or is it you saying it's hardware too?
Yeah, I wouldn't put either, but
Yeah,
it doesn't
it's
matter.
the system. And a system.
So
Anything in the system.
takes in response to an error, something like that. Okay, am I capturing what you said?
It's close enough for me. I don't know if others would interpret it differently or if operational actions is not intuitive to people. To me, it is. That's why I usually say the effect on the running system, but let's hear from others.
Well, handling is a verb, and the effect is is like an end result. So if we can say the steps to get to the end result, you see what I'm saying? That's the only dissonance I have with what you said. But I agree with you in principle.
Yeah,
So
I think
I hesitate to put all the steps. That's where I think we sometimes go too far in explaining how to do something. Sorry, Vilas, go ahead.
no, I was gonna say I think it's I A agree with you and B think it's close enough. I don't have a good suggestion for, more right now.
So
I think I strongly agree with all the things, including don't over-explain,
Yeah,
because that
actually,
usually complicates and creates tangential interpretations. I think
so
this is
maybe a
fine.
basic question. Do we define fault and error in here? I actually think this would be easier if we define fault.
I think
and
we did.
define
I
error.
think
Did we?
Meta was
Okay.
working on that some time ago, right, Meta?
well, we
I
see we
think
do have fault.
I have it as a comment actually in just below this section.
Yeah.
It never made it into the doc.
Oh no,
So-
okay. I'm looking for it, Mita. Is this
Yeah, blurb on
You were at
distinction.
fault just now, Drew. You were at fault just like a second ago. You were on fault.
yeah, I was on fault. I was just making sure I saw Mita's. Okay, yeah. And
For the
Mita,
point.
I can't see both, but I think this is, let's see. This definition is in the ballpark. I don't know.
Oh, who put that? If a hardware detects the fault, hardware detects errors. Hardware detects errors and you infer faults. You diagnose two
Yeah,
faults.
I think it's like fault precipitation into error and detection of
Okay.
the error.
Yeah, these are
Well,
very well defined. I think in a side conversation with Mita in the comments, I gave a link to a well-known document that's I think kind of an industry standard where they define all those terms and link them the way you guys just said.
Is that the Aviendis paper, Drew?
Yes,
Dean?
yes, exactly.
Yeah, I highly recommend that one. Yep.
So, do you want me to just go to that paper and copy those definitions in? Or what? How do we want to?
I'd recommend that. They're very short.
Okay, where's that? Well, can you just paste that paper in again in the chat and I'll,
If I
or
can
Mita,
find
do
it
you want to
fast
do it?
enough. I'll get you a link shortly. Can't say in the next 10 seconds, but shortly.
Okay. And I just see the comment about manifold gates. It's a leaky induction problem. Okay. But I guess, do you want to just grab the bull by the horns and make the changes, Dean?
No, thank you. I decline.
Okay. Um, okay, well, send it to me or Mita. Why don't you send it to me and Mita and we'll work on it.
Yeah, I can
If-
do it. No problem.
Oh, thank you, Mita. I was just trying to be, I wasn't trying to volunteer you without your assent. So, Dean, if you could send it to Mita or Mita if you have it and you can make those changes. that'd
I
be great.
don't have the document. I was trying to look through the comments, but I couldn't find it. Yeah, but
I
if you
think
can
it was
just,
one Dean shared with me in a different document. Dean, you shared something with me in the poison doc that was kind of an industry
Oh,
standard.
maybe. Yeah, your memory's better than mine.
I think you didn't share it in this doc. I think it was a different doc, but I do agree that's a good link. So if you can dig that back up, or Mita, do you have access to the poison doc? You can.
yeah, I'll look for it. I'll look for
Okay.
it.
Okay. Okay. And so then, but the fault is in the ballpark, and we'll work on it based on that other definition. I'm going to add another thing for error, right? We need error, and then we'll make a placeholder, and then insert a bookmark so we can link to it easily. Okay, and then I'm going to give. I mean, if you don't mind, I'll give you an action item to add it.
Yeah,
If that's okay.
yep, totally. I was just doing that myself in the comment, but yeah.
Okay. Uh, thank you. Thank you. And Dean, is there a link to that paper?
I'm working on it. I'm working on it.
Okay. I mean, I didn't know if you need a library access or something.
I'm slower than AI, but I
Okay.
use less power.
Are you sure? Yeah, you're probably right, actually. Okay, so I think I'm going to go into change mode, suggest mode, and I'm just going to I'm going to delete this to mark it as suspect. And then me as you copy those definitions in, we can further refine it.
So just one quick question. I mean, like, we're going to be copying it from that doc. We just need to attribute to that as well, right? Like, in some way.
We have a reference section, I believe.
Okay. I'll then
Somewhere.
add. Is that the appropriate just way to just have it in the reference section and attribute to that?
That should be fine for that much. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, the references are right here, and I don't know. They'd probably, whoever defined it would probably rather us be consistent than not with them. So I'm just deleting that to try to fix the spacing, but I don't think I fixed it. Okay, error logging. I don't think that will be defined in a standard paper. But this is how I tend to think of error logging, is that it's a process all the way from the chipset capturing it to, passing the CPROT.
Well, okay, but it's not collecting error data about a failure. It's collecting data about an error.
Yeah, it's as a result of a failure, but you're right.
Well,
this is
we should.
I think
yeah.
we need to just delete the first sentence.
Well, here, let me propose something. Can I just do that?
Yes. Right, because if error is defined, then that's easy.
Yeah.
That's fine. Yep.
Okay. And then the rest of
Now the rest, do we really need 4 lines of definition, process of latching?
Yeah.
Information about error in chipset, collecting the data in soft. No, I don't like all that. No, I think we're just going
Yeah.
to wilderness with that. Yeah.
So one thing is that the same sort of definitions, or I think maybe the exact same definitions are also there in the FMFM documents. So we should just fix them in one place and then copy them over to the other one.
I think once we get this one done, this one's had more scrutiny. So yeah, I think we'll copy this over. I agree. Good call. Thank you. So then is this okay? I mean, this seems pretty high level.
Can you just delete in the chipset?
Yes.
It doesn't have to be in the chipset. It could be.
No, you're absolutely right. It could be out of the chipset. That's a good call.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. This is better. Sometimes less is way better.
I actually I would object to the term latching also.
Why not? Why? Doesn't it have to latch it?
That have to latch it.
It does at some point because it's not atomic. I mean, at some point, I mean, it goes into a flip-flop, which is a latch, literally a latch. Right? I mean, if you have an alternative, I'm open to it. But I was just thinking, error log, at the beginning, it is a latch. It's latched in a register. And then we read the register. And the register is literally, flip-flop.
Okay. Yeah, in that sense, I guess I can say that. Okay. Yeah.
Could you just say saving, right, rather than latching? Which I think it amounts to the same thing. It's broader. It's less.
Okay. I mean, like I said, if you have an alternative, that's fine with me. But there is some sort of you're capturing state.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the intent, right? Yeah. Latching was a little too specific.
Okay. Error. Okay. Can we move on to error reporting then?
Sure.
No. I guess. I mean, this one didn't trigger me that much, but it kind of overlaps with error logging.
So the steps normally are error detection, error capture, and we're calling it logging here. Error signaling or notification, and then I use reporting after that. So you want to distinguish between the signal that comes out of the hardware and drives software, and then possibly the passing of information to higher levels of software, possibly in another system. The way you have signaling defined here, that's the next logical step: detection, capture, signaling. So be
Okay.
careful you don't define the same thing twice with signaling and reporting.
Yeah, and we got to do it in alphabetical order, but maybe we want to note the order somewhere. I don't know. Well, I'm going to put both of these down. Okay, in fact, I'm going to collapse this again now that I've there. Okay, so now we can see them both a little bit more at the same time. Okay, so I'm not sure where to start. Do we want to agree on signaling first then?
It would be easier if you did.
Yeah, I agree.
And I'm gonna be consistent. Signaling can have one L or two, but yeah, I'm gonna be consistent.
But per what Dean said, which I tend to agree with, the definition of signaling is a lot simpler. Signaling refers to the means by which the system is notified about the error.
Okay, I'm gonna just
Right, Dean, that seems
The word
sufficient,
system,
right?
error handler was fine, right? Because it could be anywhere. Like, what do you mean by system here? It could be like out of band agent, in band agent. It could be signaled.
Yeah, it could be right. It could be any of those things.
Yeah, I like error handler too for the reason that
Usually,
Shubhata just said.
yeah,
Oh,
and usually it's software or firmware that's being notified. So system is usually hardware and software, and
yeah, I like to avoid. I mean, that's technically an implementation detail, which I prefer to avoid. But that's fine. If we want to say error handler, that's also fine because that could be hardware, software, firmware, or whatever.
yeah, that's what I was trying to do is
Yep, that's fine.
about errors. I'm kind of playing games with singular and plural to make it a little bit more open-ended. Okay. Now there's a lot more down here. Should I delete all that or what?
That's a good start.
I mean,
Well, hold on. Let me just.
yeah, I'm not trying to be hasty. I'm just trying to. Oh,
I mean, this is all it's all an example, right?
Yeah.
I would encourage us to not have that in here.
Okay. I'm going to see. I'm going to accept the deletion here. Oops. I'm just trying to make this look a little cleaner. So, okay. So we get the beauty of the cleanness here. So you're thinking delete all of those.
Yeah. Brevity is good in definitions.
Sure.
Also, are we swapping the order of like error signaling and then reporting?
Well, these are alphabetical order. So
Drew, here's what I'd suggest. Define error and then have these as like sub definitions and just state this is a typical order, or something like I think it's much more confusing to have them in alphabetical order than to have them in the flow order.
Okay, what's the order? List. Can you list the order and I'll type them.
I'll give you my canonical one again, but
yeah,
you don't have linear.
Me too.
Detection. Yeah, I've been using this since the early days of Celsi. Detection, capture, which is recording or logging,
Uh,
signaling.
hold on. I'm gonna say capture. Actually, can we just say logging since that's what's here?
You can say that, sure.
Okay. Okay. Please continue.
Signaling. And then depending how you define reporting, reporting is next.
Yep. And Dean taught me this, so I agree with him.
Well, there is
And
another level,
perhaps,
which
and
is
perhaps
the
fault, and Dean, perhaps, sorry, say one quick second. Perhaps fault can go above error, if that's okay.
Fault occurs before, yeah, so fault triggers an error. I don't know if that needs to go in
I don't think
that
it-
order,
yeah.
but you are correct. It's, you know, the fault and then you have an error. You have, well, you have a fault and then you have activation.
I thought the
And then you
fault
have
is
the,
meant for alphabetical ordering, right?
Yeah,
Error-
this is alphabetical order. So here's what we're proposing. is-
these will go under error, right?
Yeah. So what we'll do is this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I'm okay with that. Yeah.
Okay.
so I think we're missing error response. And again, that depends at what level we look at the errors, because all of this happens at two levels, right? One is at the macro architecture level, and the other one is at the system level. But when there's an error, there is also an error response. For example, a transaction on a bus may be dropped. That would be an error response. Or there may be a response with an error code, an inband. It's also an error response.
so Seb, if I can just suggest,
Go ahead, Dean.
error response can also be thought about from the software perspective. So I would suggest error action for the hardware response and error response being the software response.
Yes,
But those are all subsets of error handling.
So
action, I mean, they're all actions, right? Logging
Yeah.
is an action, signaling is an action, responding is an action. So it's always a bit fuzzy, and finding the right nomenclature is very difficult.
So this is a good discussion to have, but I think we need to remember that we have these terms in the glossary because they were somewhere used in the text, and we wanted to clarify those. So
we're gonna have to go
I mean,
double check the text now.
yeah. So if they're not there, then we.
Yeah, but Yogesh,
one more. Oh,
if these aren't, like, we should get this right and then go fix the text to match this. Like,
that's fair. No, I'm not saying that. I mean, I'm just saying if a term was never used and we define it here, then we have to make sure it bookmarks to something. Not necessarily, but that's the practice we have so far in the document. It's somewhere bookmarked.
And
one quick question about error reporting and signaling. In the text of error reporting, it's just saying the same thing as error signaling. What is the differentiation there?
Yeah, I was thinking we should probably merge those two.
Yeah. It says it generally includes a method to signal an error to the error handling agent. That's exactly what's captured in error signaling as well.
Right, I agree. So
what am I doing?
if you want to have a separate term, it's what do you call it when the CPER is generated and sent to somebody? What do you call that? That's a good example. So you're right, we can't leave it the way it is.
Can we merge and say error logging or error reporting in one, so we don't have and then have a comment?
No.
Don't want to do that. Why is
reporting is different.
Right. We could choose to merge signaling.
Oh, sorry, signaling. My bad. Yeah. Not
reporting.
It's already 5 o'clock here, man. I'm just trying to.
And I've got to go soon. But so merge signaling with reporting.
No, but reporting is different, right? We are talking about what Justine said, that logging that error further down the pipeline, right? Which is like sending it to software agent or something, which is slightly different than error logging that we define.
No, logging is different. We are saying the error reporting.
I throw
is
everyone
signaling.
off. I throw
Like-
everyone off.
Well,
These
the
two are
signaling is interrupt, for example, and like reporting is like sending the CPR. That's how I view it. So, but
Then
I
we
agree
need
with
to-
you,
do we
Shubhada.
want?
Yeah, then the definition needs to change. If you look at
Right,
the
right.
definition,
The wording needs to change. Yes, yeah. If we are
Okay. And then fault management was, I think, what Neil had called error processing or something. But fault, so there is a definition of fault management that I referred to, and it includes this whole process. It includes modeling failures and analyzing them. So I'm just calling the umbrella thing fault management. Hence, this is fault management infrastructure requirements. So if that's okay with folks, I'll put my definition back. I think my definition got munged and moved. And I'll refer to, there's a IFAC, definition that shows all the things that can go under fault management.
okay.
Okay.
One more nitpick. In the error section, we have error handling as a first topic, and should it be the last one, because that's something that we are taking in response, the action taken in response to the error, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, we can put that last.
Well, and there's no detection too, right? So,
Yeah.
I mean, like I don't have all of Dean's stuff. I wasn't doing all of it. I was just doing pieces of it to make it look a little thing. I mean, I'm going to put that back, and then I'll change it to detection, and then I'm going to say TBD, and
So I am trying to tease out the difference between signaling and reporting. Is reporting the thing the error handler does, and signaling is telling the error handler about it?
I
Or
would
like
say yes.
I think that might be I think that's right. Yeah.
And
So
since we're so CPR based here, I think that's a good yardstick, right? Think about
Yes.
what you do. What do you call that thing when you send a CPR? We can choose a different name, but it does seem to naturally fit.
okay, I've got to get to my appointment, but I think this is pretty close. I think, Mita graciously volunteered to work on this. So I think what we'll do is have her do it, and then we'll come back next week, and hopefully we'll be close. So does that sound okay?
Yeah. So I'm out next week, but I'll review whatever gets done. So it's fine.
Sounds good. Thank you, Vilas. Have a good vacation. Okay, thanks everyone. This was a good discussion. We are getting so close to releasing a doc, so thank you. I know this is painful, but I think this is really going to become something awesome in the future. So thank you.
Thank you all. Have a good weekend.
Yep.
Thank
Okay,
you.
talk to y'all later.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.